I was struggling, in the beginning, right? I was borrowing money, $5, $10 here and there to put gas in my car. I'd actually just go around to different family members' houses, my mom, dad, grandparents, just to eat food because I couldn't afford food. But luckily they were there supporting me, and that's something that really helped me, right? But something I've learned at the end of all of this, 1, 2, 3 years down the road, after you recover, you'll be able to pay these debts off. How's it going, guys? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I think it's quite sensitive, and a lot of people deal with this, right? Obviously, because we can't work or our work time is limited, lots of doctor's treatments, specialists to see. Essentially, the topic of this video is dealing with money and finances when you're struggling with something like CFS. When you can't work, when your capacity is limited and you want to work, but your body just doesn't let you. And let me be the first to tell you that I've absolutely been there. At my worst, I wasn't working for 6 months at a time, 8 months at a time, a year at a time, actually. And so there's a few things I want to cover here, but first of all, I just want to say I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you things that work for me and what I've seen to work with other people. Right? Because obviously this whole channel is to help give you some solutions or give you some thought-provoking things that might help you in your situation. So I'm doing this from a place of giving you some ideas that you may not have thought about prior to watching this, right? But again, this is not financial advice. This is not saying that you should go do this, but I'm gonna share with you some things I did to help, right? So let's just go back in time. When I started getting sick, of course, the biggest thing is I had to keep calling in sick to work. Right? I couldn't train as many clients as I could prior to getting sick, right? Because at the time I was a personal trainer, and at the time I was living at home, right? I was 19 years old and I was paying for my own food, gas, insurance on my car, and I had to pretty much cut my workload in half, right? Now, in the beginning, the doctors also didn't know what was going on. So I was having to pay for ambulance costs. I was having to pay for seeing specialists. And I think that first 6 to 12 months, I was on that merry-go-round of seeing specialists. Luckily, I'm here in Canada. We have insurance. So I didn't have to pay out of pocket for a lot of these things. But here's the thing. Eventually, and I think for most people watching this right now, it gets to a point where you have to start paying out of pocket. Because while the regular doctors can't help you, the regular medical system, you are still looking for answers. So you tend to go to private doctors or naturopaths or different kinds of treatments like massage and acupuncture and IVs and supplements, all of these things. You really try to take matters into your own hands. And so I think it was within a year of me getting sick, I was referred by one of my friends. He said, hey, you should go see this naturopath. She really helps people with stuff just like this, all the weird stuff the doctors can't really help with, right? At this point, the doctors are all saying, I'm fine. Your tests are normal, just go out and exercise more. So I tried doing that and I kept getting worse. So I started paying a naturopath, and those visits were not cheap. I think it was like $200 for an initial consultation for about 20 minutes or something. And then she had to order all these tests in, saliva cortisol test, completely out of pocket. That thing was like $400. Pee test, this blood test, that blood test, and then all of these different supplements she was giving me. She said, we should try this, we should try this. We got to help your adrenals. Right? This is going to help balance out your cortisol, this and that. And at the time I was so desperate, I said, okay, sure. Yeah, let's try it. And so I'm paying for supplements and even IV treatments. I did over 100 IV treatments over 2 years. But essentially I was being drained of all of these funds, right? I was struggling to work, first of all, and all the money I was making from working, most of it was going to these supplements and IV treatments and visits to the naturopath. And I tried multiple naturopaths because I was desperate. And I told myself, screw it. I'll go in debt to try to figure out a solution for this, because at that point I was just so desperate. I knew that money comes and goes, but if I could just get my health back, then maybe I'd be able to work again, and then I'd be able to pay all of this off, right? To me, material things and money, I was worrying about it, but I knew, like, if I just invest in this thing, then I'll be able to work. So there's a few things that I want to share with you guys that may help alleviate your financial worries and stress. I'm not saying this is going to solve financial problems, but this may help you with worrying about stuff, right? So number one, if you can, you need to drop the ego and ask your family or friends if you can live with them, right? Depending on how severe you are, I was very severe. It got to the point where, my mom wasn't home all the time, my brother wasn't home all the time, and my dad wasn't home all the time. So it was me at home about 8 hours a day when I was bedridden. So I just called my grandma. I said, hey, look, it's really bad. Can I come live with you just for a few weeks? Right? And I did that multiple times when I got sick. Over the span of 4 years, I think I did that 2 or 3 times. But the third time, I was so bad. I was on the phone crying and I said, I'm sorry, but is there any way that I can live with you for just a few weeks until I get better? Is that okay? And my grandma was like, absolutely, yes, come over. And I remember my brother scooped me up from the bed. My legs were dragging on the floor. He threw me in the car, didn't throw me. He plopped me into the car and he dropped me off at my grandparents' place. And I thought I was gonna be there for 3 weeks. I was getting spoon-fed for about 6 months, right? So for me, coming from someone who was very independent, I saw myself as independent. I was a go-getter. I was the kind of person, if I set a goal for myself and a vision, then I will achieve that. And I didn't want any extra help. So it was really hard to drop the ego and admit that I actually needed help and that I wasn't strong enough to do this on my own. So if you can, number one, try to see if you can get support from family and friends. And if you are very severe, go live with your parents. Go live with a family member. Go live with a friend, right? If that's an option for you, because that will make a huge difference, right? So that's number one. Number two, if there are solutions that you find, right, whether it's doctor or a certain program or whatever, something that I did because I had IV treatments coming up and I was paying for supplements, I had car payments, but I could not work. I was putting everything on my credit card. Aside from car payments, stuff that had to come out of my accounts, but I racked up 3 different credit cards. By the time I got out of the hospital and I was well enough to go back into the world and start working a little bit, I was about $15,000 in debt, right? But at the time, I was running out of cash, right? So I also had to borrow, $1,000 from my dad, $1,000 from my mom. I needed more support. So, I was borrowing money here and there, but also putting money on my credit card. Now, in the grand scheme of things, is that a smart move to rack up your credit card? No, it's not. But this isn't any normal situation, right? So I was putting it on the credit cards and I was paying the minimum payments at the time, knowing that, okay, if I ever get better, then at least I'll be able to pay all of this off, right? So that was stressful, racking up those credit cards and getting a line of credit and all of that with no clear, definite plans in the future of when I was gonna be able to pay it off, when I was gonna be able to work again. I just wanted to walk again, right? So that's number two. Something that I did is put on the credit cards, right? Preserve as much hard cash as I could, right? But number three, it's dealing with guilt. I had a lot of guilt about finances. I knew my grandparents were buying food for me and, they were taking a lot of time out of their day, right? So financial pressure and stress, it ate me alive for about the first 3 or 4 months when I was bedridden, because it's all I could think about. I felt like I was just consuming resources, that everybody was pooling their money up to try to save me, and I was just getting worse. So I felt super guilty about it. Not only that, but also the credit cards, right? As that debt was building up, I was stressing out more and more. But here's the thing, what I found. Money, at the end of the day, it comes and goes. There is no shortage of money in the world. There are trillions and trillions of dollars everywhere, but for me, my health, that was a limited supply, right? And so even though I was $15,000 to $20,000 in debt, once I got better, and I would have paid for anything that solved my issue, I was able to start a video production business actually, within about 6 months after getting released from the hospital. And little by little, I started paying off my debt. And it took me about 2 years to pay off that debt because I couldn't work a regular job, right? I needed the flexibility. I needed to be in control of my own calendar. So started this video production thing. That way I could dictate my hours. But I was struggling, in the beginning, right? I was borrowing money, $5, $10 here and there to put gas in my car. And I'd actually just go around to different family members' houses, my mom, dad, grandparents, just to eat food because I couldn't afford food, right? But luckily they were there supporting me, and that's something that really helped me, right? But something I've learned at the end of all of this, 1, 2, 3 years down the road, after you recover, you'll be able to pay these debts off, right? And this is actually why in the Recovery Jumpstart program that I've created, the recovery system, if people join, and this thing doesn't work, within the first 30 days, as long as the people show up to the calls and they come to their one-on-one check-in calls with the coaches, we will actually refund people's money, right? Because we only let people on board if we are absolutely certain that we can help them, right? So I never wanted to be that guy who says, we'll promise you this, promise you that, here, as long as you sign up, and then it doesn't work, right? So we actually have that built into our program, but that's because I've been there, right? I had spent so much money on so many things that didn't work. The last thing I wanted was to try another thing and just waste my money, right? I had been screwed over by, a few naturopaths in the past that I invested tens of thousands of dollars into that didn't work. So that's why we have a money back guarantee, right? But in terms of finances, just to summarize everything, one, drop the ego as much as you can, ask for help. You need help right now. Right? If you have to lower your hours from work, if you can't do this on your own, that's what family is for. That's what good friends are for. I'm not saying you borrow money and never pay them back. No, ask for help. And if you need to live with them, live with them. There's that. If you need to, use the credit cards. That's what they're for, right? For emergencies, right? So sometimes you have to bite the bullet and take advantage of those credit cards. Again, I want to make it 100% clear this is not financial advice, right? Something as well is find free resources to help you get better, right? Something like this channel. I have close to 1,000 free videos on this YouTube channel. So, I understand people don't have money, right? People may be very tight on funds. That's why I create all of these videos for free. I don't ask anything to make these videos, right? I make these videos out of my own time. I'm not getting paid for this, but I just want to help people, right? Because I think everybody deserves access to this information. I think one day doctors will be aware of this, but right now, there's not too many resources where you can get this kind of information. And I'm not just saying my channel. Go watch like Raylan Eagle's channel, really great channel for recovery stories. There's Heal with Liz. There's a bunch of other channels with so many stories of people getting better, and they're giving you step-by-step instructions of how to get better. But on this channel, if you go to my playlist, there's very specific topics and lists of videos that may help your situation, right? So, of course, be as careful as you can with spending money. Try to watch free things, try to get free resources, and that way you can preserve as much cash as possible, use it for food, use it for rent, use it for the absolute necessities. But if you did enjoy this video, if you got some value out of it, and if this helps, because this is a sensitive topic, I know, something that's very stressful, and I've been there before. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button. You can comment down below your thoughts. And I know this probably doesn't answer all your questions about finances, but I wanted to give you at least something, right? Again, I'm not saying this is the right thing to do or wrong thing to do. I just want to share with you my perspective on this, because it is an important topic when people are dealing with hypersensitive nervous system issues. So again, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did want some extra help with your recovery journey, like I said, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee, right? So if this doesn't work, we send all your money back as long as you show up to the calls and you're committed to the process, and if you qualify for the program, right? We have a very specific process in place. Only if you qualify for the program. We have to make sure that we only let people on board if we are 100% certain that we can help them. So if you wanted to learn more about the program, click the link down below and you can learn all about it. So always remember, you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.